I'm Kee Marcello. This is May the Rock Be With You.
G'day, Kee. How are you, mate?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. You're sideways.
It's because you're in Australia. Just
oh,
kidding.
That's why. There we go.
Let me see if I can do this. How's that?
Much better.
Awesome. I'm just gonna put it here.
There we go.
How you doing, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great.
Excellent. Lovely to talk to you.
In the morning. Oh, no problem, man.
Now, where are you at the moment?
I'm in Gothenburg on the west coast of Sweden. You know, pretty close to Norway, if you know the map there. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm right by the sea, actually. In my house, this is the cozy corner. This is where I grab I have a beer and an acoustic guitar and fiddle around with song ideas. That would be right here.
That's an awesome way to do everything. That's how it should be done.
Yeah.
Now, of course, mate, we are here, though, to talk about your brand new album coming out next year, Out of This World.
Yeah.
Now, to kick this off, let's do it this way. Can you give me one word that you think sums up this album perfectly? One
word? How about 4?
Okay.
Out of This World. It actually sums it up pretty much perfectly, you know, because if I had to choose one word, it would be effortless.
Okay.
Finally, because the whole process has been easy as pie. I mean, these 4 guys go. I mean, myself and Tommy Hart, originally from the band. And now my brain just lost everything.
It's fair warning.
Fair warning.
Yeah.
And, you know, me and Tommy worked on this unrelated project called Key of Hearts, where I actually got approached by the label, an Italian label, which we're not going to mention in this interview for various reasons. And they asked me if I wanted to do a session job to play the guitar on a Tommy Hart solo album. That's how I was approached. And I thought it would be a great idea because I used to have a huge old studio with drums and you could do everything in there, you know, separate studio rooms and all that. But since I'm so busy, I really didn't have the time to keep it updated, you know, put fresh heads on and all that shit. And, you know, I used to have a guy, but, you know, I didn't even have time to visit it. I wasn't there for months on end. So I decided to get rid of it, which was pretty wise. It was right before COVID. Otherwise, it would have been taking rent, you know, all this, all this time. So anyway, this was in 2017, and I just had started to build my studio at home. I have a studio here where I can record all my guitars, keyboards, vocals, that sort of stuff, you know. So I got a smaller but nice setup. We can do all that, and for me, it makes much more sense to rent a studio and do the drums and the basics and do the rest here. So yeah, I'll play the guitar and Tommy Hart solo album. Fuck yeah. So I did that and turned out great. And then I realized more and more that the label tried to make this look like a band, which I was never told, and it would have been a different price tag if I would have known, which they probably knew, and why they approached me this way. So for the second album, we have different demands completely. They wanted to do a second album. And our response wasn't popular with the label. So after a Christmas break, our manager called us and said that he discovered that the label had copyrighted the band name worldwide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Just like that. And our response was like, bye.
Yeah.
Have a good life. So we fucked off basically, and but we still felt that this experience was amazing because we connected like almost like a brotherly love connected us, you know. So we had plans, and then we all got the 4 of us got to meet. You know, it's Tommy Hart from Fair Warning. It's Darby Todd, who used to play with the Darkness, and Gary Moore, and you know, he played on Devin Townsend's new album. He's a really amazing drummer. I call him every time I need drums. He's the best, you know, really the best. And Ken Sandin from the band Alien, the bass player, and we go way back. We played together since 2003 constantly. So and we had a gig in Milano in Italy on a festival. So we got to meet, and Tommy was there promoting something unrelated, I can't remember. So we got to meet all the four of us and hang for 2 days at a hotel and discuss our dreams, where we want to go with music and all that. Stuff like this is really important for musicians when it comes to creating a band, to get to know each other, you know, and discover that you're pulling in the same direction, which is not always the case in bands, you know. Oh man, it could be so many different wills.
I don't think we got enough time for that.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, so the next step was we had after the release of the Kee Marcello album, we had one gig, the only one we did with that band. It was in Ludwigsburg in Germany, and when we rehearsed in Gothenburg, it was easy as pie. The band was so tight. After only going through the set a couple of times, we felt this is not. I mean, we nail it. We have it. So I said, I have 3 songs here. You want to listen to them? Maybe we can do some basics, because we were rehearsing in the studio, the same studio I always record drums in. And yeah, so before the end of the second day, we had 3 songs recorded. I mean, the basics of 3 songs, and those were Twilight, Lighting Up My Dark, and In a Million Years.
Oh,
and
nice.
those 3 songs, and this was actually before the first time we played together. And then we did the Ludwigsburg Heat Festival with the band, and that's actually the live material from the album. It was recorded there, you know.
Yeah, right.
There was a lot of stuff happening around that time. I think when we recorded these first tracks, that was the actual birth of the band. The band name came up later, but that's when we became a band, because we discovered how easy it was, and the rest of the album was just a game. I mean, we just had so much fun, and the songs kept coming to me because I was on a crazy songwriting spree. I mean, when it's like cracking open an egg doing a new project. And if you have 3 songs that are finished and you love them, then it's so easy to write the rest, because you're on a roll. And I was on a roll. So I wrote all of it this time. In the future, I'm sure Tommy will be more involved. But except song number 10, which is Not Tonight, I wrote that with the singer and drummer from Easy Action.
Oh, cool.
It was meant for Easy Action originally. But I played the demo for the guys, and Tommy said, I know exactly how to sing this. And he came up with the suggestion, why don't you do a tapping thing? Tapping? And I was thinking, what? Eddie Van Halen? No. Something really slow, like a hook. And I fiddled around with that, and that was actually Tommy's idea, which is now the intro, and it comes throughout the whole song. So, but we had, you know, to write and record these 10 songs was just easy as pie and so much fun.
Awesome. I want to get into that shortly, but you mentioned the band name before. Now, obviously, it's named after the Europe album that you're a part of, and it's my favorite one, by the way, just so you know. But how did you decide on that to be the name of the band?
The thing was, we had a lot of different suggestions, and I have a publicist in Britain, and she suggested it would be called that I should call it Kee Marcello of Europe. But I hate shit like that, to be quite frank. And you know, currently there are 2 different Saxons on the road. How confusing is that? The 2 different yes. You know, oh man, that's ridiculous.
LA Guns is another one. There's another LA Guns. There's 2 of those. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And imagine the ticket buyers. Which one are we going to go to? You know, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
You don't know. And I always say that. So I said, no way, I'm not going to do that. And Tommy spoke to a friend of his in Japan who suggested, why don't you call the project slash band Out of This World? Number one, it's key break in Japan for sure. That's what it's mostly known for here. And it would be pretty much like when Ronnie James Dio was singing in Black Sabbath. Mm. They made an album called Heaven and Hell. And I mean, obviously they couldn't call themselves Black Sabbath when they played live. That wouldn't have gone down well with Sharon Osbourne.
Yeah, no.
No, that would have been lawsuits coming on. So, I mean, and pretty brilliantly, they called it Heaven and Hell, because then everybody knew exactly what they got. And we thought this might be a similar situation. And I love the idea. So there we go.
Yeah.
And then,
Go ahead, sorry. Go ahead.
And also, I was speaking to a friend yesterday, and he said, it sounds like you did a concept Out of This World, and then Ron Nevison is mixing it. But that was another coincidence, because we worked with a couple of other mixing producers, younger guys, more modern, so to speak. And I didn't like it, because one thing I don't like with a lot of the sound of a lot of productions today is, for some reason, it's some competition who wants to be the loudest. So everything is so compressed. I mean, even from the scratch, even the raw files are compressed the shit out of, limited. And then you put a mix compressor on it, and then obviously when you master it, you limit and compress the shit out of it. And what you have is like a flat line, no dynamics. And I remember getting back Twilight, being so disappointed. This is not the way I heard this. This song is, it's like almost a musical. It should be ups and downs, and stuff happens all the time. And then Tommy said, well, Ron, why don't you call it? So I called Ron. It was simple as that. He picked up the phone. Hi, it's Ron. Hi, it's Kee. Hey, Kee, motherfucker, how you doing? And I said, I have this stuff. I think it's right up your alley. And I've told him the situation. He said, I told you what generous as he is. He said, Dropbox me the files for one of the tracks you want me to mix. I'll mix it for you. And then you can make the decision if you like the other guys or me better, And of course, he sent us a mix a day later that blew our fucking minds. Unbelievable. Just like I heard it, in my dreams, but even better. So it was a no-brainer. So I asked him if he could do the whole album, and he did a little bit of the refurnituring his calendar to make it work. But in the end, he did the whole album. I'm very proud and happy about the result. Yeah,
because obviously he did the original Out of This World, and it's almost like making a part two, in essence. You know what I mean? Like it's awesome.
Yeah, it really, all the pieces fell really well together, And what a dream to get Don Airey to play on 4 of the songs.
Yes, I saw that. It's great. Like it must be such a buzz, even for the people playing. But as a fan, and you get someone in that comes in and can play on a record, it must blow your mind, man.
Oh man, I mean, and me and Don Airey, we go way back. I mean, the first time I met him was when Europe played a double date at the Hammersmith Odeon in London. We played Friday, Saturday, and on one of the days. At the meet and greet, Neil Murray showed up, the bass player from Whitesnake, a good friend, and he had Don Airey with him. And I remember being very starstruck because I was a super fan of Colosseum 2 with Gary Moore playing the guitar, and that was just amazing shit. And that was the first time I met him. And we met over the years, and we got to play together a couple of times. We did on Sardinia. We did. This crazy billionaire, he puts together like all-star fundraiser festival events, he invites 10,000 people, and there's a huge festival stage, and then it's, it's Chris Slade from AC/DC on the drums, and Ian Pace on the drums, and Roger Glover. I mean, Ken Hensley, me and Don, obviously, Michael Schenker, I mean, name it, Neil, a lot of people just coming and going and playing with each other and changing around. It's a blast.
That's great.
And beautiful Italian food, wine, you know.
You just can't go wrong. You're living the dream, mate.
Yeah. I love those. We did 3 of those. And every time in the bar, me and Don ended up by the grand piano after everybody else went to bed. And I would shout Todd Rundgren songs to him. And he would just play them because he knows everything. He's a musical genius.
Yeah.
And we would sit to early morning drinking wine and playing Todd Rundgren, you know. So we really had a connection and felt that we have to work together. But you know how life is. Life comes between and different things happen. So I never got it. We were close in 2010 when I was doing a Scandinavian tour thing. That never happened for various reasons. But now, when I had the 3 first songs, I called Don and said, I think I have something right up your alley, and sent him the songs, and he said, let's go. So
awesome.
Originally, he was only allowed for Deep Purple contractual situations to do 3 songs, but he did 4 anyway, and everybody was fine with that. So, and I love it. I'm so proud to have him on the album.
Awesome. Now, I did want to ask about one song. I always listen to the album, and there's one song I like to pull out. Now, besides Hanging On, which has that chorus I can't get out of my head, the other one that was Up to You is the one that really stuck out for me. Is there a story behind that?
So is there
a bit of a story about the creation of that song?
Oh, yeah. Up to You. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of feeling going into that. Very personal lyrics, but it's also very nice that it's a clean guitar. It's only one clean guitar with a chorus, and you can go a long way with that. It's so much feeling. I mean, Ron Nevison obviously has a lot to do with the sound of that guitar. You know, he has his studio full with outboard gear and stuff that sounds like $1 million, and probably cost it as well. Yeah. But yeah, I love that. The idea of having a really scaled down verse. It's basically in the beginning, I think it's just guitar and vocals. That's it, you know. And when I wrote it, I was picturing me and Tommy live, you know, just on the big arena, and it's just a guitar and how big that can sound. I remember seeing Rush and similar stuff happen, you know. And that chorus with that riff that just stomps in, you know. No, I'm really proud of that song. And of course, I swear to make it up to you. That's about the years I'm not so proud of, when I was a complete fuck up. And then my wife came to rescue me, you know, which would actually probably saved my life back in the 90s.
Good. That's what we want. Well, let's look back over your career, because what I like to ask people, it can be very easy to say what can change over time and a number of years. What for you, though, is the one thing that has always remained the same?
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess it is my approach to what I really want to do. I mean, I'm not really a heavy metal guy. I never was. I mean, I'm a Todd Rundgren fan. Like, I mean, that's where it started. And where I want to go musically in songwriting and my guitar playing has never changed. And it was like that from the get-go. I really wanted to play melodic, but technically. Today I'm playing melodic, but technically. And I always, in the beginning, I tried to do the rubato thing, which I'm sort of famous for. You know, when you start slow and go faster, or vice versa. And you just aim for a note. This rubato is very common in classical music. And I always wanted to include that in my playing. But in the beginning with varied results, because what you actually have to do, you have to play really a slow run that goes really fast, and I have to land on a note exact in time and the right note. So the first 10,000 attempts sounds like shit because you completely miss the spot, and then it sounds like you don't have a fucking clue what you're doing.
But you get there in the end.
Yeah, which is the idea of the thing. You really got to master it before it makes sense. Yep. So I think that has always remained the same. And, you know, even though heads of A&Rs of record companies have been telling me, man, you have a successful career, you're a great songwriter, but the style of music you're doing, we can't sell it. And I often tell them, isn't it because you're bad? You don't know what the fuck you're doing? Isn't that it?
Must be. But
yeah.
Has to be.
And actually, I was proven a bit right. I don't know if you've been following my solo thing, but I have a hit in Europe right now in the EU. It's called "Don't Miss You Much."
Okay.
For my scaling up, and that it was #1 in several countries, even on the main charts. I was in several countries. I was before Ed Sheeran.
Hey, nice. That's awesome.
Which is, to me, it's like, yes.
Yeah.
but the thing is, this tells me that there's an enormous unmet need for this type of music. And the only reason why it's not on the chart is because the labels don't know how to sell it.
Yeah.
So
exactly
I think
right.
we're going to see a lot. I think it's going to change.
I hope so, because it needs to come back. And I want to ask about your time back, obviously, in the late 80s and early 90s with Europe. Like, now, it is one of my favorite songs of all time. And I'm going to, rather than ask you about the song, I want to twist it. What are you most superstitious of?
That's a good twist. Yeah. Well, for one thing, I would never walk on the ladders.
No.
that's so ingrained in my mind. I won't do that. So, yeah. Besides that, I don't mind black cats crossing my path. I don't. But it's the ladders. Yeah, definitely it's the ladders.
That's fair. I'll take that one. So now my mate, who's a big fan, he's asked me, and he said, I swear he owns them and he's got them. Can we one day have a copy of the LeBaron Boys Masters? Any chance we'll ever get the mastered songs?
Oh man, it's amazing how, first of all, how that's been living its own life. And I haven't, this label, 20th Century Music, I think it's called. It's a German label. They want to release the whole thing, to master it and all that. The only problem is it wasn't meant to be released. It's all recorded on a, believe it or not, 8-track cassette for the studio.
Cool.
So imagine the bandwidth, 8 tracks on this little piece of tape. So, I mean, there's not enough bottom end and stuff on there. I mean, maybe we'll do something just for the fans, but it's really, they did try to master it, but it's totally lacking the bottom end. What we would need in that case would be the masters, which would be the cassette tapes with, so you can actually take the kick drum out and the bass guitar and add bass to it and make a new mix of it. And I'm working on it because the cassettes are not thrown away. I know that for sure. It might be in one of the warehouses. But me and warehouses don't go well together. I mean, for instance, I found this guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you. You might recognize it.
Oh, look at that. Nice.
It's the guy from the After This World album, the Superstitious guitar, if you wish.
Yeah.
And it had been laying. I thought it was lost. It was in a guitar case in one of my warehouses for 25 years. That's a quarter of a century, man. You can't excuse just by saying, I'm sorry, I messed up. I lost it for a while. No, it's a quarter of a fucking century. Wow. But anyway, I found it. The guy found it, and I have it completely restored.
Beautiful.
But I chose to keep all the little things,
Yeah, battle scars.
Yeah. It just makes it even more special.
Still sound good?
But to answer your question, to cut a short story endless, if we find the masters, we definitely want to release the LeBaron Boys, because a lot of good stuff, the Rainbow Warrior, One Man, Wild Child. Yeah.
Awesome. No, looking forward to it. Now, we're running out of time, so I want to wrap it up with what I do with everyone. I get them to look ahead to the future. So I want you to finish this sentence for me with a prediction. In 2022, Kee Marcello will...
be touring stadiums with Out of This World and do all the summer festivals, you know, Wacken, Sweden Rock Festival, and it would be a blast. And COVID would be nowhere to be found.
That's what we
until
want, right?
next fall, unfortunately, when a new mutation comes along.
Variant number 27.
Yeah.
We'll get there. Dude, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure to talk. You've been a fan for a long time, so it's an honor to speak to you.
The honor is all mine, mate. Hope to see you on tour soon.
Well, come down to Australia, man. We'd love to see that one day.
Oh, yeah, me too. I love to come there.
All right.
Take care, man.
Mate. I'll talk to you again. See you, buddy.
Talk to you again. Cheers.
Bye.